smiling woman at the window. Ha 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 ha. The rain began just after midnight, falling in long silver streaks across the quiet neighborhood. It was the kind of rain that made the world feel empty, as if everyone had disappeared and only the darkness remained. Inside a small house at the edge of town, a young man sat alone in the living room, listening to the storm and enjoying the silence. The house was old. Its wooden floors creaked without warning, and its walls groaned whenever the wind pushed against them. During the day, it seemed harmless enough. At night, however, it felt different. The shadows seemed deeper, and every room felt larger than it should. As the storm grew stronger, the lights flickered once, then twice. Then the entire house went dark. The television screen vanished, leaving the room in complete silence. Only the rain remained. The young man grabbed a flashlight and walked toward the front window. Outside, most of the neighborhood was dark as well. The power outage had affected the entire street. As he looked out through the glass, something caught his attention. Across the road stood a woman. She wasn't moving. She wasn't carrying an umbrella. She simply stood there in the middle of the storm, staring directly toward the house. For a moment, it seemed normal. Then lightning flashed. The bright white light illuminated her face. She was smiling. The smile stretched unnaturally wide across her face. It wasn't the smile of a happy person. It wasn't friendly. It looked wrong. The sight sent a chill through his body. Another flash of lightning lit up the street. This time, the woman was gone. The road was empty. No footsteps, no movement, no sign that anyone had ever been there. The young man closed the curtains and tried to convince himself that exhaustion had played tricks on his mind. Eventually, he went to bed. Hours later, he woke suddenly. At first, he didn't know why. Then he heard it. Tap, tap, tap. A soft tapping sound echoed through the darkness. It was coming from his bedroom window. The sound continued. Slow, deliberate, patient. The strange part was that his bedroom was on the second floor. There was nothing outside the window except open air. Yet the tapping persisted. Tap, tap, tap. Gathering his courage, he slowly approached the curtain and pulled it aside. The darkness outside revealed nothing. No birds, no branches, no explanation. Then his flashlight beam drifted across the glass. Dozens of wet fingerprints covered the outside of the window. Fingerprints that seemed to belong to someone who had been clinging to the wall. 2 stories above the ground. His heart pounded. He shut the curtain immediately and remained awake until sunrise. The next morning, the fingerprints had vanished. No trace remained. The incident felt impossible, like a nightmare refusing to leave his mind. Throughout the day, he tried to forget about it. Yet as night approached, an uneasy feeling settled over him. The house felt different. The air felt heavier. The shadows seemed darker. He locked every door and every window before going to bed. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Midnight arrived. Then 1 o'clock. The silence began to feel reassuring. Perhaps it had all been his imagination. Perhaps there was nothing to fear. Then his phone vibrated. A notification appeared from a security camera installed outside the house. Motion detected. His stomach tightened. Opening the camera feed, he stared at the screen. A woman stood inches away from the front window. The same woman, the same smile, the same impossible expression. She wasn't blinking. She wasn't moving. She simply stared into the house, watching, waiting. The young man he switched back, her face appeared closer than before, much closer, almost pressed against the glass. The smile looked even wider. The image suddenly filled with static. The camera feed froze. Then it disappeared completely. At that exact moment, a tapping sound echoed from downstairs. Tap, tap, tap. The noise came from the living room window, slow and steady, like someone gently knocking from outside. The tapping continued. Minutes passed, then an hour. Still it continued, never growing louder, never stopping, just endless tapping in the darkness. By morning, the sound had vanished. The house fell silent once again. The young man decided he could no longer ignore what was happening. As he packed some belongings, he noticed an old photograph stored on his phone. It was a selfie taken several days earlier. At first, everything looked normal. Then he noticed the reflection in the window behind him. A face stared back, a smiling face. The woman. She had been there before he ever saw her, watching, waiting, always present. A wave of fear swept through him. He immediately decided to leave the house. Boxes were packed, bags were loaded into the car. The entire time, he avoided looking at any windows, avoided looking into mirrors, avoided every dark reflection. The feeling of being watched followed him everywhere. Finally, he drove away. The old house disappeared behind him. Relief slowly replaced fear. The nightmare was over, or so he thought. A notification appeared on his phone. Motion detected. Another followed, then another, and another. The messages continued non-stop. Unable to resist, he opened the security camera app one final time. The living room camera activated. The room appeared empty. Then something strange happened. The camera began moving, slowly, as though someone inside the house had picked it up. The image rotated through the hallway, past the staircase, toward a large mirror hanging on the wall. The camera stopped. Stood the smiling woman, not outside, not near a window, inside the house, standing perfectly still. Her smile stretched wider than ever. Her pale eyes stared directly into the camera. For several seconds, she remained motionless. Then she slowly lifted one finger and pointed, not at the camera, not at the house. She pointed outward, toward whoever was watching. The screen instantly went black. The connection ended. The young man deleted the application immediately. He never returned to the house. Years passed. He moved to different towns, different neighborhoods, different homes. Yet the memory never left him. Every now and then, he would catch himself looking toward a dark window after sunset. Sometimes he thought he saw movement. Sometimes he thought he saw a pale face. A face that disappeared the moment he looked directly at it. As the years passed, the sightings became more frequent. A glimpse beside a street lamp, a reflection in a store window, a shape standing at the far end of a parking lot. Always the same woman, always the same smile. And every time she appeared, she seemed slightly closer than before. No matter how far he moved, no matter how many years passed, the distance between them continued to shrink. Some nights he could almost feel her presence outside his bedroom window, standing silently in the darkness, watching, waiting, smiling.